What's up, Digidestins? Today we're going to review none other than all the new starter decks that just got released. Well, starter deck 18 and 19, really, I'm excited to talk about them. Their Vortex and Fairy Tales looks like exciting new style of play that Digimon hasn't really seen in a little bit. So without further ado, let's hit that video and get it started. We're going to start with birds first. Starter deck 18, the Vortex. Then we'll go into Fairy Tales. To be honest with you, I would prefer to do Fairy Tales first because of how the starter decks are revealed and released. I have to do this one first. Without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we have Fluffymon. Who doesn't like to be fluffy? This is going to be cute. It's fluffy! Outside of that, we got when attacking once per turn, you may suspend one other Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. This combos into the strategy the deck wants to do. It's a really great egg for this because once you start getting into your boss Digimon, you want to be able to suspend your Digimon or your opponent's Digimon to do some crazy combos. That's very important. Then we do have Biomon here. Fortitude as a option. When this Digimon would leave the Digievolution card is deleted, play this card without paying its cost. The only downside this card has, I'm going to be straight honest with you, is the fact that you can't use it with Yokomon and get the free evolution cost. They should have had that black text. I feel like that's all that's missing is that black text, and it would have been a great card, especially going into birds itself. It's a great bridge. The Fortitude effect is great. The problem comes down to is consistently getting pieces underneath it. There's not really much ways in this deck that'll just put a card underneath it so that it could have its Fortitude live. The deck wants to play similar to Bloomlord in bird style, and that's the problem here. I don't understand why they didn't just put the Fortitude as an inheritable instead of its main body effect, because the Fortitude would have worked better there, in my opinion. And whatever, it is what it is. Then we have Falcomon here. When attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. That is a really powerful effect, similar to Fluffy. It combos nicely. I think at the end of the day, this is what you really want to have in the deck, paired along with your Terromon. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 bird or avian in one of its traits, and add 1 card Vortex Warrior or Liberator trait among them to your hand. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. Just the normal generic on play searcher, really solid. And then you have your turn, the Digimon gets plus 2000 DP. I think we can get to the point where it's all turns now. I think we need this boost unless your Digimon has a great protection skill. Outside of that, we kind of just see nothing too crazy. Then we have Mochukumon, whatever this bird here is. All turns, when an effect suspends this Digimon, one of your opponent's Digimon with bird or avian in his one of its traits or with Vortex Warrior traits is plus 3000 DP until the end of the turn. Similar to like Pumamon, this thing is wanting to be when effect suspends this Digimon. The traits are like Fluffy's going to suspend it, Falcomon's going to suspend it, do stuff like that to trigger these abilities, which are really strong. It gives an inheritable piercing, which is really solid. Like I said, an inheritable piercing or like even just Fortitude would really help make this deck more consistent. I think the fact that Biomon is the one that doesn't, I don't like Biomon out of the rookies that you kind of get out of it. I think the big rookies you want are Falco, Taro, Muchumon. Also, you have to take into account you want the promo Terromon as well. That's a big thing to keep in mind as well. Piercing on a body. Then we're getting into level 4s. We have Kiwimon. On play, on deletion, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then traits, this has vegetation type. It kind of just combos in nicely, especially because it is a bird that plus its vegetation makes sense, right? It is a Kiwi Digimon. This is a bird. It's also a vegetation. It is a possibility to see play in Bloomlord. I don't know. We have Palmon X that is an on-play when Digivolving. I get the on-play on deletion, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. At the end of the day, I think the on play is where it's valued at, and I think Palmon will play it more than this. Then you have Carterimon. This thing is a blocker and it has piercing. It's not a bad body. It's pretty strong. I don't see anything wrong with that, actually. I think it's pretty solid for what you expect in a starter deck. Nothing too crazy here. Now let's get into Galemon. Gale has security. You may play 1 card with liberation traits and play a play cost 4 or less from your hand or trash without paying its cost. It's not a bad trade-off, having a way of getting a free tamer, which you really want to have your tamers out. And it has Vortex, which is the new keyword here. At the end of your turn, this Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. This Digimon may attack with this effect on the turn it was played. This allows you to get around summoning sickness. And now with effects like piercing, which now is what you want to do with the deck, is have the piercing go through, you can still deal some damage. And then your turn it gets plus 2000 DP, making it big and beefy. Then we have Digimon, but is a blocker again, similar to the level 4 that we just saw. No inheritable, which is kind of a little bit sad here. On deletion, you may play one Digimon card with bird, avian, vegetation, or plant in its traits, and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its cost. People will say this is, oh, you can play this in Bloomlord. You don't want to play this in Bloomlord. It is another body. The fact that its DP is not in the correct threshold, you're not really playing this thing as a cheat-in, and you don't want to pay full price for Digievolution. Rule, it is a vegetation type, but searchable in vegetation style play. Outside of that, no. And then you have Grand Galemon. So on play, when Digivolving, suspend one Digimon. If this effect suspends one of your Digimon, you may play one Digimon with Bird Avian in one of its traits and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its cost. Like I said, it wants to play similar to Bloomlord. It's not Bloomlord. Once per turn, when the Digimon attacks an opponent's Digimon, you may unsuspend this Digimon. Surprised this doesn't have Vortex. I would figure that you would slam Vortex on Gale, Grand Gale, and then Zephigamon. I would figure the whole line would have Vortex. Surprising it doesn't is beyond me why you wouldn't have done that. Then you have Parrotmon. So on play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then one of your Digimon can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. What's really interesting is that we, in the course of one set, since we haven't seen Parrotmon ever, we have now gotten 2 Parrotmons. That is kind of cool. That's where we're going with. And then here's the boss Digimon of starter deck 18. Vortex, you may attack an opponent's Digimon. This Digimon may attack with this effect on the turn it was played. Summoning sickness gets out of the way. When Digivolving, suspend one Digimon, then unsuspend one Digimon. All turns when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon effects and gets plus 3000 DP for the turn. Keep this in mind that once the unsuspend phase happens, boom, you are now having protection. This thing is at least a decent boss Digimon that will make it so your opponent's Digimon can't touch this with their effects. What's interesting to me though, we are in the year 2024. Why are we going back to 11,000 DP Digimon? They should be a base of 12 at this point. Especially boss Digimon in a starter deck, I feel like unless it's an ace, why isn't this 12? Then we have Egomon, which is Parrotmon's evolution. It has Fortitude. On play, when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its hand. You kind of see where it's going at with Eagle, with Parrot, and then Biomon's kind of line here. You can see that it's probably Parrotmon's line is Bio in it. I could be wrong. Someone tell me I'm wrong. I think that's where they were trying to go with it. Return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the hand. I mean, it's kind of beefy play cost. Why would you play 12 to play this? I don't know. Then we have Shoto. Starter main phase, your mem setter here. And then when one of your Digimon attacks an opponent's Digimon, by suspending this tamer, switch the attack target to another of your opponent's Digimon or the player, which is not bad. This allows you to swing into your opponent's security, getting around Vortex. So you don't have to deliberately, if you don't have piercing and you don't want to remove the threat because you don't care, you swing in, boom. They're now down. You're hitting their security with some beefy damage. And then we have an Anomaly Embrace. You know, I can't even pronounce names on a good day. You expect me to pronounce one today? Suspend one Digimon. If this effect suspends one of your Digimon, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck, then unsuspend one Digimon. Security, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. At least this has a great removal. I think this is really good. And then the final card you would get is a Mem Boost that is specifically looking like with Terramon. That's pretty solid, actually. I think this is really good. Next, let's get into Fairy Tales. This is the deck I'm kind of more excited to because I'm a big Fairy Tale. Kairumon. This thing's when Digivolving, if you have another Digimon, draw a card. A really good effect. This could see play in other decks as well. Just very great support in generalization. This card is great for Lord Nightmon. This is great for any deck that wants to spam out. And I find it cute that it has the mouse in the picture, you know, the mice that is going to be the familiars. Really cool. This is also Junkmon. It has barrier and then decoy puppet. We at least now have some way of protecting our deck. I think this deck has a little bit more strength because you can protect your Digimon a little bit better and do some crazy shenanigans. Decoy puppet trait. This is pretty good because when your puppet is destroyed, and you're going to find out these are a lot of puppets that we didn't even think of. I can't believe we didn't know about this. Junkmon's just Junkmon. Then we have Shumon. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, similar to Terramon. Add 1 card with Puppet in its trait and 1 card with Liberator trait among them to your hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck. Then you return all your opponent's security Digimon gets minus 3000 DP. Really solid there. Then we have Pawn Chessmon. Your chess players, you guys got some new support. On play, by trashing 1 card with Puppet in its traits, in your hand, draw 2 cards. And then Reboot, Inheritable, the white pawn chest. Then we do have the black pawn chest. It has blocker. On deletion, by trashing 1 card in your hand with puppet traits, in your hand, draw 2 cards. Pawn chest helps the chess deck. It's actually pretty solid support in this deck because they are puppets. The only downside is they are going to cost you 1 cost evolves. I think that's like the only big downside. Then you have Doggymon, a Digimon that nobody put on their probably bingo book to see. Now knowing that it is a puppet, it's kind of funny. On play, on deletion, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gains security attack 1 until the end of turn. That's not bad. For a card that's going to be strictly either you hard play it or if you Digivolved in the deck and then you promote it up and then it dies, this is a great way of preventing your opponent from dealing some lethal damage to you in some circumstances. And then we have Tubucatmon. It has jamming and barrier. Puppet X antibody. Really interesting to see this. I think if I remember correctly, it's a very interesting one. I did a research on this real quick and I don't remember it. I'm drawing a blank. It's really cool to see another X antibody option. Then we have Shushumon. Okay, it's a squirrel with rollerblades. Security, plays 1 with Liberator traits with a play cost 4 or less from your hand without or trash without paying its cost. Then Overclock puppet trait. Then all turns, all your opponent's security Digimon gets minus 3000 DP. This thing with the Overclock puppet is really solid. At the end of the turn, by deleting 1 of your tokens or 1 of your other Digimon with puppet in its trait, this Digimon may attack a player without suspending. This is similar to what you would be seeing in a deck like Hunters, where Arresidramon was doing it. This time, the evolutionary line of Shumon will be able to swing in by sacrificing a token. Then you have Pandamon with blocker. Then on deletion, you may play 1 level 3 Digimon card with puppet in its traits from your hand without paying its cost. Not a bad trait, just being able to play any of your pieces, which would be like the pawn. Like this pawn would be really solid for that, or your Shumon. Then you have EX Tyrannomon with armor. It's not bad. We got a Tyrannomon / Raremon for 3 costs for evolution, which is really solid actually. And then you have Digicross ability here with a Tyranno or Raremon in its name and a level 4 puppet trait. And it has barrier, just preventing it from leaving if it in a battle. Then we have Chaperonemon. On play, when Digivolving, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP. If you have 3 or more cards, increase the DP reduction by minus 3000 DP. So this thing can deal 6000 minusing DP effect. It's not till the end of opponent's turn, which would have been a lot better. Chaperone is not bad. All turns when this Digimon would lead the battle other than by 1 of your effects, by deleting 1 of your tokens or 1 of your other Digimon with puppet trait, prevent it from leaving field. This is really solid actually. This makes it Cinderellamon is actually really sticky, especially because Cinderella is another deck that wants to produce tokens. Overclock puppet. This thing will be able to attack suspended. It is another 11,000 DP Digimon. Wish it was a little bit higher. It is a blocker too. Then when Digivolving, you may play 2 pendant Digimon with yellow 3000 DP. With an effect of on deletion, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. Tokens. I have tokens coming up. You guys will enjoy them. I think you're going to really like them. Then we have Shinmumzemon Armor Purge. This thing goes in the Numemon deck. I don't see this thing actually staying long term. On play, when Digivolving, place 1 level 5 card with Nume in its name or with puppet trait from your trash as this Digimon's bottom Evolution. Recovery 1. See, this is what needs to be on certain effects under 1 of your Digimon. I like this by placing 1 level 5 or lower card, level 5 lower card with Numemon in its name or with puppet in its traits from your trash as the spotted Digivolution. Recovery 1. This thing's going to see play in Nume, actually. This is a really powerful card. Then we have Ariza. This thing is a mem setter. When an effect plays one of your tokens or one of your Digimon with puppet traits, by spending this tamer, one of those Digimon gains rush for the turn. This means now your token produced by Cinderella is really solid. I think the one in EX07 is going to do it when attacking. Then it would make her more valuable. I think that's really important. Then you have Noble Family Arts. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP per turn. If you have 3 or more, increase the DP minusing by 6,000. This becomes a 12,000 DP minusing. I love how the familiars are on a little pumpkin and it's going to go boom. And then the last card you're going to get is the Mem Boost. And in each of the starter decks, you will get a pack with all of the fantastic trainings. So you'll get an alternate art. You want to get, if you're going to want to get a full playset of each one, one's going to be like a full art. The other one's going to be just like common-ish looking. But what you take is you buy 4 of each. You'll get a playset of each one with full arts, and then you'll be set for life. I think this is really solid. I think we have a really good starter handle and what they're going to do. Definitely needs their EX7 support for it to really flush out and actually do some crazy damage, which is really good for us because we'll get the EX6 with this at the same time, which is going to be really good. Well, EX7, I mean. Combining that in, we're really good, and I'm kind of happy. Guys, what do you think? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.